Final push before Election Day. The candidates for governor are crisscrossing the state, and the Bay Area is a key target in the last-minute scramble for votes. KPIX 5's Phil Matier spent the day tracking the candidates, and he's live in San Francisco. Phil?
That's right. We're here at the headquarters for Gavin Newsom, the former mayor of San Francisco. But he's just one of the candidates that have been in the Bay Area today in order to scrounge up votes for tomorrow's election. Let's take a look.
You need to vote tomorrow.
After spending the morning in the Bay Area, former Los Angeles Mayor Antonio Villaraigosa headed back to L.A. for the final day of the gubernatorial primary campaigning. Meanwhile, Lieutenant Governor Gavin Newsom spent the morning in the Southland as well, before heading north.
Polls don't vote, people vote.
And Treasurer John Chung was in San Francisco's Chinatown.
To provide the leadership that's required for the future of the state of California.
The reason Democrats are flocking here in the final day of the campaign is simple. Although we are smaller than Los Angeles in population, Democrats here vote in far greater numbers than the rest of the state.
Over a quarter of the vote is coming from up here. I think from Northern California it'll be over a half when polls close tomorrow.
Even though there's more people,
even though there are more people in Los Angeles and points south, I think we just have good voters here.
So for candidates, the Bay Area is pure gold.
Absolutely critical. It's so vibrant.
Take some undecided voters.
And volunteers for Newsom were busy mining that gold today with this tech version of a phone bank. Only instead of calling you, they are texting last-minute voters.
We're going to get to about 500,000 probably today, not just here in San Francisco, but we've got all over the state, all over the country, really, volunteers, on their computers, on their phones doing this.
On the Republican side, polls have businessman John Cox in the lead.
Having the president weigh in sent a clear message.
But chances are you won't see the Republican candidates here. Their voter gold is elsewhere in the state.
The Central Valley, San Diego, the northern part of the state. This is Gavin Newsom's backyard. I don't think you should spend a lot of time here.
We didn't really know what was going to
And here he is in his backyard, live at the campaign headquarters. He and the polls seem to think he's going to come out number one. The question is, who's going to come out number two to face off against him in November? Live in San Francisco, Phil Matier, KPIX 5. Back to you guys.
All right, Phil, thank you. So what should we expect for voter turnout?
Well, if early absentee ballot numbers are any indication, could be low. KPIX 5 political reporter Melissa Caen joining us with a look at who could benefit and who's going to be hurt by that low number.
That's true. So far, the most remarkable thing about the absentee ballots is that they're unremarkable. Some campaigns were expecting a big surge of young voters who were on the left, but that does not seem to be happening. Now, statewide, nearly 12 million mail ballots were sent to voters for this election, and as of Friday, only about 2 million had been returned. That's just 18%, and that is pretty normal for a non-presidential primary. Now, the last one we had was 2014, and Friday's numbers looked similar to that election. We're just not seeing an unusually high turnout or a big blue wave of Democrats. 45% of mail ballots were sent to Democrats, and of the returned ballots, 45% are from Democrats. 26% of mail ballots were sent to Republicans, but they make up 34% of the returned ballots. And those declined to state voters get 24% of mail ballots, but are only 17% of the ones that have been returned. Now, these trends are also true in Bay Area counties. And historically, more Republicans vote early, and those early votes tend to be whiter. And that's what we're seeing this election as well. Hispanic voters received 24% of mail ballots, but are only 13% of the ballots that have been returned. Asian voters get 12% of mail ballots and are 11% of the returns. And black voters get 3% and are currently 3% of the total returned. White voters get 60% of mail ballots, but are 73% of those returned ballots. So if the votes this year continue to look just like any other non-presidential primary, that could be bad news for candidates who are really counting on an unusually high anti-Trump turnout. Candidates like Antonio Villaraigosa running for governor and Kevin De Leon running for Senate. Also in jeopardy are a slew of tax increases on ballots across the state. I think folks thought we're going to have an easier time.
Yeah, absolutely.
So we'll see. I mean, anything can happen, right? It doesn't necessarily mean that we're going to have a regular turnout.
This is just based on mail-in. Those who have dropped them off, some people haven't mailed them or dropped them off.
That's right. But I mean, you would think that if we were going to see a huge spike in voting in this election, it would be somewhat reflected in these early votes, and we're just not seeing it.
Yeah. Okay, Melissa.
Thank you.
Tomorrow. Thanks. Stay with KPIX 5 for Election Night tomorrow. We'll have results and analysis on a special live stream tomorrow night from 8 to 10 on KPIX.com and our social media platforms, and complete coverage on Night Beat at 10 on KBCW and back here at 11.